Today is the day, my friends. We have the final pieces we need to finish the BMW. We've spent the last 3 episodes throwing this together using about 64 of my finest IQ points. And now the last thing to do is wire up the ECU. And then we're ready to hit the road for some tuning. Obviously, I've got all the small things to do, like stick the radiator back in properly, do all the intercooler piping, throw the bumper on, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna quickly smash out all of the boring stuff, and then we can get onto wiring the ECU. Boring stuff done. Now it's time for this. I spent a solid like 2 hours sitting in the living room labeling the wires and figuring out which ones I needed to use and which ones I didn't. And safe to say that was an absolute pain in the ass. So I know exactly what I'm using and what I'm not using. What I'm not using is all bunched up over here. And what I am using is all bunched up here. So we have to get this out, and then I'll have much easier access to see where all the pins are. That was a little bit tricky, but I unplugged the ECU. So the first thing that we want to do is make sure that this thing can get power. We want to do that by finding the labeled ignition power, this one right here. I'm going to tap that into X6004, which manages everything that isn't the engine or peripherals. And pin 26 is a switched 12-volt supply, which basically means that when the ignition is on, it's got power, but when the ignition is off, it doesn't have power. So I just took the connection out of the plug, and you can see here it says 21 on one side, 30 on the other. I'm holding pin 26 right now. So this is our switched power supply, and we've got to tap this red wire into that. All right, we exposed a bit of that. FIC now has power. I'm gonna solder that on there quickly. Let's slide it back in now. You can see here I've gone and put stars next to the ones that I actually need. Here's an example of an intercepted wire. So this is the MAF. You've got the wire coming from the sensor, is this one, and that goes into the FIC, and then the FIC spits out the modified signal through this black wire back to the stock ECU, so it's happy. These are all the input wires, and these are all the output wires. And the same principle is applied to intake cams, exhaust cams, and crank sensor. So there's an input and an output for all of them. My soldering skills are significantly improving. Alright, some of you are going to judge me for this, but I've just zip tied this to the fuel pressure regulator and catch can hose, just because I don't want to like drill it in somewhere yet if I need to change anything, if I've messed something up. So that's where it's temporarily going to stay. We've got the boost reference hooked up to it for the map sensor, and we're ready to go now. We just got to fill up the oil, coolant, power steering fluid. We've got to heat protect some of the engine bay and intercooler piping, and then we're ready for our first start. No. We now have 6.5 liters of oil in there. I also just finished mounting both gauges. I've got a little bracket holding them on. Okay, we've filled the coolant. There's some aftermath on the floor. I think the next thing to do is, oh, fuck me. Put the battery back on. The first thing we have to do is check if we have fuel pressure down there somehow. It's very far away. But this is the moment of truth. Will the fuel pump prime? That seems like a priming fuel pump. We have 20 pounds of fuel pressure. We've got to make that 40. Okay, I just primed the fuel pump again, and now we have about 50 PSI of fuel pressure, which is a bit more than I want. All right, we're hooked up to the FIC, and ignition is on, and I'm just loading up the base map. Well, I've made a copy of the base map. All right, there we go. we've loaded up our fuel map. I'm also just going to change all of these. I have all of the info saved on my phone. All right, I just configured everything in here. Injector response time is 85 milliseconds or 850 microseconds. I'm doing the ignition map on pressure, manifold air pressure. So how you create a base map is you go here, you go create base fuel map, and then you go, the new ones we have are 440 cc's, old ones are 208 cc's. Now max RPM, our engine red line's at 6500, we don't want to go over that. And max boost will be 24 psi A, that's atmospheric pressure, so that tops at 10 psi, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly what ours goes to. But yeah, this is the base map that we're gonna have to go off, and then I do the same for ignition. I go create base ignition map. All right, so we're gonna pull about 9 degrees of timing at max boost. That's cool, I like that, that seems safe. So there's our base maps loaded. Now we can configure these from here. I think we're gonna just run the car like this and see if it likes it or not. We have to calibrate it once the engine's on, but it seems that it knows what it's doing. We just have the fuel map up right now. I'm not worried about the ignition timing because we're not gonna be seeing boost yet, but I think it's time. I think we're gonna pop this up here like this. I think the battery's really dead. Okay, new battery in. It's time to go again. Okay. That's running really badly. Okay, I just gave it 2 steps up. Give her another go and then we'll see if we can dial in our idle. The missus is looking at the fuel pressure for me while I do this. Let's see what our AFRs read now. We have good vacuum. Those AFRs seem a bit better. Idling good. Calibrate the RPMs, you retard. It's not even reading that. Okay, we have smoke. Something is burning. What is burning? Okay, we have an oil problem. There's oil coming out of somewhere, getting sprayed by something. It's all over here and all on the floor. I'm really unsure where that oil could be coming from. I'm just gonna get my girlfriend to turn the car on, and we're gonna have a look and see if we can find where it's coming from. Can't see any smoke. It's still running way too lean. So after some evaluation, I realized that we need to make some changes. First of all, that one right there, we need to change the ground to be the one shared with the ECU. I'll put up the reason why. I can't remember off the top of my head. We're also going to set our fuel pressure properly because that was reading about 60 psi, which is almost 15 over what we want. We don't have a MAF. Our MAF is chilling down there, and that might be what's causing us some problems. The voltage is clamped, so it should keep the stock ECU happy, but the FIC still has no idea what's going on because the MAF isn't hooked up. And lastly, I'm going to remember to calibrate the RPM so that nothing's freaking out like it was before, because that was bad. All right, there's one problem taken care of. We've made a hole there for no reason, but whatever. That ground looks pretty solid. It seems like it's sticking out, but that's as far as you can get it into the thread. Time to see if we've actually dialed in our issues now. We'll calibrate RPM first, and then we'll go from there. Hey, there we go. Found our oil leak though, it's coming from right there. Let's try and fix that, because that's a lot of oil coming out of there. So our oil leak is taken care of, but we have a bigger problem. I think our idle issues are MAF related. I just bought some new silicon pipes as well, and we're gonna put this in and see if we can fix our issue. All right, don't ask me how I feel after doing that, but we have a MAF set up now. We don't have a blow-off valve, but that's okay. I like 222 noises. So we're gonna plug that in, tighten these up, I got a 90 in there. Boom. And we're gonna see if that fixes our problem. Okay, I ran out of hose clamps, but so these two are not hose clamped, but they're very tight. So I think I can start it under vacuum and it'll be fine. So let's turn her on and see if she behaves this time. All right, we'll once again get our base map loaded. We will open our fuel map and I'm gonna just change them back to normal. Okay, let's turn the ignition on. All right, we'll get our gauges ready. Let's start her up and see if she behaves. It's definitely idling more stably. AFRs are still lean as. All right, that's happier there at negative 47.7. That's revving much better though. Yeah, I think that may have been our problem. That's much better. It's driving under its own weight. Let's go. And it's idling really well. All right, friends, it's time for our first proper drive. We have a very, very safe, apparently very rich tune right now. I've configured it to what I think is probably correct, but is most definitely wrong, using some fancy maths. We're about to go for our drive, and I'm doing this by myself, so I've got to hold a camera, make sure a laptop doesn't fly onto the seat and unplug itself, and also control the car. That's going to go about as good as you'd expect it to. I really, if you haven't been able to tell, have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just trying not to blow it up, so I've put extra fuel, you know, where I think I need extra fuel, like above 3,000 RPM. But if we just cruise along here, watch our AFRs. It's kind of choking itself when it shifts gears a bit. That's stable. It's a bit... I can't tell. It's like good and not good at the same time. 2,500 RPM right now. Slightly lean. And if I back off, it gets really rich. Still lean. More fuel. Ooh, definitely not enough up there. Just gonna pull over and add a bit more up there. I'm basically just going to rinse and repeat this, but it's very difficult to do while filming and a bit dangerous. So I'm going to keep doing this until I've got it to like kind of a drivable point, and I'll be back. Okay friends, it's a new day. I just wanted some sunlight so I could see my boost gauge properly, because I don't have it wired in. But I think I've got things safe enough to see some boost and hear that turbo for the first time. I am going to take it to get professionally tuned, just because I don't know what I'm doing, but I've got the AFRs to kind of a safe point. It's at like 11.5, 12 at wide open throttle, and I'm pulling 9 degrees of timing at 8 psi, so I know it's not gonna knock or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait for this car to pass me, and then we are gonna see what that turbo sounds like. The car's not warm yet, so I'll just do a light pull. That sounded pretty good. Here we go. Damn. Opened a little bit there too. Woo! I think we'll call it there for that one, friends. I've got another project. This one's a 330 that I purchased yesterday, which you'll be seeing some more of. But that thing needs to go get professionally tuned before I can really do any more with it. But it sounds amazing, it looks amazing, and it drives averagely at the moment because I'm not a tuner. But we got to see some pulls, and that was exciting. And I appreciate you guys following this little journey. Be sure to like and sub if you haven't, and it's not the last time you'll be seeing this car. The next time you do, it'll be tuned and we can actually give it a proper rip.
See ya.